will pick it up and take it over. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Everybody's ready. Let's wait for a few people to jump on board here. I'm here with Hector Mimes. First of all, I just want to say thank you to him. It's Sunday morning. He probably should be at home with his family, but instead he's come over here to be a YouTuber for the morning. But yeah, we've got a bunch of guys over there. You can probably hear it. They're welding and grinding away behind us on the van. So we thought now would be a really good opportunity to both answer some questions from last week's video. Hector is the engineer behind the design of the new van, the new solar array. So I thought it would take advantage of him being here, and we could answer some of those questions first. And then we're going to pick this up and we're going to show you what's going on over at the van. So that's pretty exciting. So if you have any questions, I'll get you to ask them in like a couple of minutes time, and then we'll just go over them. And when there's no more questions left, I guess we can end it, or at a reasonable hour, because I'm sure Hector wants to get on with his life this morning. So
no, and from our side, I mean, thanks Jill for inviting us and being here in the project. We're very proud of participating in this. It's a very good message. Kind of live your dream and protect the environment and get some engineering involved and some high tech stuff. So it's a good, we like that good balance between a hobby, lifestyle, and kind of wanting to change the world, little grain at a time. And as far as engineering goes or fabrication goes, any doubts you guys have, any questions, just feel free and let us know, what your comments are. If you have any specific doubts, technical doubts, more than happy to answer them. And yeah,
we're going to try and do some of these live streams, as more and more questions pop up, because I don't know, it's really hard to continually be answering questions. Sometimes they're the same question. It's just easier just to have this conversation with you guys and for us to have this conversation too. We've been having these conversations for the last couple of months about this van. So it's cool to let you guys in on those conversations and then, move on from there. So basically, last week's video, I described what we've been planning and building in as short amount of time as I possibly could. I think it was like a 7-minute video. And I just showed you our design work and sort of the process behind how I got to be here in the shop with Hector, because there was a whole bunch of planning before I even met Hector that I was going to go ahead with building. And then when I met him, everything changed because we decided that we had a bunch of new tools and stuff. Like, for example, Hector has a plasma cutter here at the shop. It's actually out of service at the moment, but which sucks. But he has one, so that gives us a whole different perspective on what we can fabricate for this vehicle moving forward. So yeah, looks like there's a bunch of people here. So let's get stuck into some of the questions from last week. Basically, one of the big questions, and it's good that Hector's here because we can sort of discuss this in front of everyone, is why did we go with the swing out design? I think I tried to answer that as best as I could last week. For me, the simplest way to put it is we decided to go with the swing out design. If anybody hasn't seen that video, you should probably go and check that out at some point in time. But basically, the new solar array doesn't completely just slide out. It's in 3 sections. One middle section that rolls out on some sort of slider.
A telescopic rail.
A telescopic rail. And then there's 2 side sections that swing out. They kind of have a slot and a pin mechanism, and they swing out together. And a lot of people think, oh, why are you doing that? It's going to make the profile of the van higher because we have to stack layers of panels. Also, it seems a little more chaotic than just having 3 sliding mechanisms. My simplest answer for that is, we have 2 main reasons. One was cost. The sliding rail mechanisms, if you want to get precise moving mechanism parts, very expensive.
Yeah, like linear motion rails are very expensive, especially on that length, because we're talking almost 2 meters in length. So that gets pretty complicated. And the other part, one is the cool factor, because it looks pretty awesome. It's thinking outside of the box. But the main reason was you can share the risk. If something fails, you're going to lose 1/3 of your whole array if you lose that section. But on the other side, you're only going to lose a corner, which would be kind of like what 7 to 10% of your whole array, you know, in case there was something wrong happening. And it also makes that center part stronger. So our complete van has the array fixed to it. So that's not going anywhere. That issue that happened before, it's not going to happen again. So worst case scenario, he has 1/3 of his capabilities fixed to the van properly. And then you have your two sections that are going to be very strong and movable. So, I mean, we have 75, 80% of our whole array very, very secure and tucked in. So
one more specific question I think that came through that I remember was people were sort of concerned about the height of the array from the top of the van. And the last array I had on the roof, if everybody remembers, was about a foot big, 30 centimeters-ish, about this sort of big, or maybe a little bit bigger. And this one, I think we worked out is going to be around the same. So we're going to show you the profile in a second, so that can be fully answered. But basically, it's not going to be.
It's actually going to be thinner. Yeah.
It's going to be smaller. Yeah, it's even with the stacking.
Correct.
It's going to be smaller. So, and we're also going to create wind breakers, and
correct.
We're going to put fairing and stuff all around it to make it more aerodynamic. Before, we didn't really do that. We didn't have the time because me and Brett at Solar Roller built it super quickly. So we didn't really have time to put all that on there. So this time we're going to take our time and we're going to really fabricate something nice and make it
it's going to be properly incorporated to the van, and that's going to help to keep everything in place. The vehicle's going to be more efficient. So we're looking at every single inch we can gain in efficiency. So yeah.
And what was there? There was a couple of other. Oh yeah,
about the pin.
About the pin.
Yeah, where the the hinges.
Oh yeah, the hinge strength. Yeah, there was a lot of people were asking about that. Yeah, how compromised the array was as far as strength. And you said it just before, actually, and I believe it too, is that it's going to actually be quite strong. It's probably going to be stronger than if we did three telescoping, or even just one.
Yeah, it's going to have grade 8 bolts, and the hinge point is going to be a 1/2 inch grade 8 rod. So, and it's going to be a double shear between the bottom stack and the top stack. We didn't draw that because we just wanted for you guys to see how the mechanism worked, because we're designing. We have a basic design, but we're fabricating on the move. So you're going to see it more clearly this week. And it's going to be a double shear. So it means every pin is going to be fixed on the bottom, fixed on the top. So the shear point of a 1/2 inch grade 8, you're talking about almost 20,000 PSI. So we're never going to be there. So yeah. We're using race car parts on.
Yeah, that's the other cool thing. Hector, maybe you just want to quickly go over a bit of what you do here in the shop. Maybe we can do a quick walk around the shop in a minute and show everybody kind of the stuff you get your hands stuck into.
Yeah,
what cars are here at the moment?
Well, right now we're working on a Ford Raptor that it's going to do an expedition through Baja, doing an exoskeleton. So imagine the suspension of a Ford Raptor. A pin like that, it's what's holding the whole wishbone of the front. And you're going off-road at 100 miles an hour, bumps, and it doesn't break. So that's what we're using as pins. So we're really over-designed, but that's what we use here. And a lot of little small race parts are going to be in that car, or at least race-inspired mechanisms. So yeah, it's going to be pretty strong.
So yeah, let's describe the place a little. We're an old abandoned grocery store.
Yeah,
it's an old Calimax in Mexico. They're quite popular. If anyone's been down here, you would know. Where is everybody from, by the way? Type that in the comments so that we can see who we're talking to. But basically, here in Mexico, there's a grocery store chain called Calimax, and Hector occupies this place, and it's basically just full of race cars. And he as simply as I can put it, he builds awesome race cars that can handle Baja. As well, the Dakar Rally's on at the moment. So if you watch the Dakar Rally or know anything about the Dakar Rally, Baja is like the Dakar, except less money, maybe. It's less grand, so it makes it more adventurous. It makes it more wild and dangerous, and yeah, like it's a wild country down here. So the cars have to take quite a beating, and that's kind of what Hector does. He builds for all over the world, but basically the Baja racing industry.
Yeah, we built mainly we do race cars for desert racing, which is Baja. You know, worldwide known Baja, off-road capital of the world, and it's extreme. You know, so we're using those type of parts in the van, and it's basically the whole frame is going to hinge. So
yeah, so we got a bunch of people here. Look at this.
Oh, that's a pretty good question from Andy. He says anything built with less than 8.8 bolts. Okay, 8.8 is a metric standard for hardness. So an 8.8 metric bolt is actually it's not up to a grade 8 standard bolt. So right now we're talking U.S. standard hardness is grade 8, which in metric, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 13.3 or something like that. So an 8.8 bolt from the metric standard is it's a little bit under a grade 5 U.S. standard hardness bolt. So yeah, we're way above that 8.8 shear point, Andy.
Yeah,
and they're all gold-plated bolts, and they're made for race cars. I mean, that's what they're made for. Yeah.
I hope everyone can hear us. There's some noise in the background. We are in a workshop. Don't forget that. So good. But yeah, a bunch of people. We got Europeans, UK, Denmark. We got Kentucky, Portugal. I live in Mansfield, Ohio. So a few American, a few US, Panama, cool. India, very cool. Jay, nice to see you. And obviously an Australian in the mix. We can't forget.
If you have anything in Spanish, I speak Spanish perfectly. So if you have any questions in Spanish, feel free to let us know, and I can answer in Espanol.
We got Salvador Dormar, 1965, asking if there are followers from Verde por Dentro here. Yeah, if anyone's from Verde por Dentro, put your hand. Everyone follows me from Verde por Dentro. Put your hands up, and that kind of adds to Hector's comment. If you have preguntas en español, it's the perfect momento. I speak Spanglish. I don't really speak full Spanish, but yeah. Any questions? Shoot them through. There's not really any coming through here. We don't really have much else to go off from last week's video. They were the main 2 points, basically. I've done some Land Rover builds, Dakar associated with Bowler. There's Andy. HGV based yet, though. I cannot wait to build my own. What's HGV based? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what HGV is.
Yeah. What's HGV, Andy? Let us know what that means. We don't know. And Bowler is a race vehicle manufacturer?
I imagine, yeah. We're not here in Baja. We're not that familiar with any of the rally standards, especially in Europe. So heavy, good. Okay, yeah. Now here it's desert racing, 130, 140 mile an hour cars, trophy trucks, buggies. We'll show you a couple in a minute. So
yeah, we're gonna take it.
We got some buggies, some VWs. We got a Raptor. We got a Manx. So yeah, you'll see the type of cars that we develop here.
So Kevin, what's the material for the new frame on the Solar Ray? It's steel. I don't know what the grading is. Basically, we're using this profile that they use for making windows out of. And what's the profile? What size metal?
It's the thickness is it's 18 gauge, but since it's a window profile, they come with it's like weatherproof sealant in the inside and out. So it's actually a roll-formed laminated sheet, and we use that because it has a very good primer into it. We're not going to move anything that's heavy. So the solar panels are extremely light, and the only factor that we have to counter is the wind. So we're a little bit overbuilt on the thickness of the steel because we are using enclosed profiles, and there's a little lip to it, which adds more strength, which will give you more technical information as we talk right now, and then eventually we'll have all the technical blueprints and all the info online.
We got a question in Spanish. ¿Cómo será la nueva furgoneta?
Salvador, pues el camión se queda básicamente igual. Nosotros estamos reforzando los laterales con un poquito de perfil cuadrado para ayudar a que cargue todo y mantenga integridad la panel, ¿no? Pues va a viajar hasta Argentina, entonces le queda, no sé, un año de travesía a Joe, y nos estamos asegurando de que no vuelva a tener este problema. Estamos diseñando todo en SolidWorks, haciendo análisis de estrés, y la vamos a reforzar un poquito, le vamos a dar más cuerpo, y estamos compensando el peso que estamos añadiendo con muchas cosas que le estamos quitando también. Entonces va a quedar muy bien la camioneta, pero visualmente va a ser igual. Se le va a ver nada más un capó adicional en el techo de menos de un pie, pero va a estar incorporado a las mismas líneas de la camioneta.
En un momento vamos por visitar el camioneta en este lugar. Perfecto. So basically, Hector was just describing the current state of the project and how things are going so far in Spanish. For everybody who doesn't understand Spanish, that's basically what he just said. And we've already spoken about that in English, so thanks for answering that one, Hector. Weight's a good one from Andy. It's going to be heavier, definitely, than the last solar array. We don't know how much heavier. We're also doing some work on the suspension, which we're going to show you in a second. So that's going to help a lot with being able to handle the weight of the solar array. Basically, there's a huge ballast in the base of the vehicle. It's a 3-ton battery, and the center of gravity of the van is very low at the moment. So we're not super worried about weight on the roof. The only thing that we would be worried about weight on the roof is because the frame of the vehicle won't be able to support the weight of the new solar array. But we're reinforcing that with our own roll bar at the moment. So weight's not that big of an issue. But how much do you think the new solar array is going to weigh?
We're going to be our limit is 600 pounds. Everything integrated, including the pounds. So it's not bad at all. It's just
in kilograms. What's that, like 300-ish?
Yeah, no, like 250 kilos at most.
Yeah. Okay. I missed a few minutes and I wasn't sure either of the weight. There you go. Paneles flexibles más ligeros, no. Yeah, sí.
Yeah. Sí, Salvador, todos los paneles en sí, no tengo el dato de cuánto pesaban los anteriores, pero estos no pesan nada. O sea, si pesan algunos, ¿qué será? ¿4 kilos, Joe? Si acaso cada uno.
No, es como dos, menos de 2.
Están súper livianitos. Y en realidad vamos a tener que poner una pequeña hoja estamos viendo la posibilidad de hacer inoxidable o aluminio en los marcos para que toda la resistencia del viento no caiga directamente sobre el panel, ¿verdad? Que le ayude el metal. O sea, necesitamos reforzar esa parte porque el panel está tan delgado y tan livianito, ¿no?
Yeah. So Hector was just describing the weight of the new solar panels. The reason we're going with the flexibles is because they're super lightweight and they're great panels too. Really looking forward to seeing what we can do with them. The last panels were flexible too, but they were from a different maker, and SunPower, obviously being a sponsor of the project. I loved SunPower before they were a sponsor, and I love them even more now that they're sponsoring the project, which is great. But yeah, they make some amazing panels. Some of the best. Well, actually, I think the best in the industry. The best cells, the Maxion 2.0 version cells. I think, yeah, the 2.0 Maxions. They're the best in the industry. They especially the flexible ones. They're incredible. So I'm really looking forward to being able to see. Okay, we got a few questions about my license. The last live stream we spoke about my license not being sufficient for a vehicle of this size, and yeah, I've got to look into that. So I'm getting into that. I'm having a look into that to see what I can do about that. But yeah, basically that's where I'm at with that. Maximum output for the solar array. So the new solar array is going to be 7.5 kilowatts. and the old solar array was 7.9 kilowatts. Maximum out, that's nominal. So maximum output, it's really hard to say. Depends on where you are, obviously. Here in Baja California, in a national park called San Pedro Martir, last year I had my old solar array, the 7.9 kilowatt solar array up there, and I was getting something like 95% efficiency, which is the most I've ever seen anywhere that the van has been. I was getting something close to like 7.6 kilowatts out of that array. So it was pretty close to nominal, which is absolutely awesome. So if we can get somewhere close to nominal with this one, I'd be stoked. So if we could get above the 7 kilowatt mark with this array, then that would be awesome. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we can't test it until it's all up on the roof there. So yeah. Okay, I think we're going to pick up the computer and just go for a quick walk around the workshop. And yeah, the vehicle is only 2-wheel drive, Andy. Just to keep things moving, we're going to pick this up and we're going to go and show you and introduce you to a couple of guys while they're working on the van, and then yeah, we'll show you the workshop. So I guess we'll start with the race cars. We'll move on from there. Let us know if this drops out, because that's the most important thing. I'm going to turn this around. It's hard. I'm showing you with a computer, so it's hard to make everybody be able to see what's going on.
Okay, right now we're heading into our parts depot. Right here is we have these racks for organizing. So this is where we keep the parts of the current cars that are in our shop area, which is this way. This is our main fabrication area. So we have our tube bender, our TIG welder, and these steel tables where we do our smaller welding. And this is the first section of the vehicles, which is the fab shop. Here's where we do all the steel fabrication. As you can see, this is a Yamaha YX Z1000. It's a UTV. And right there we have a Baja Bug, which we're using. We're going to put a Chevy motor there. And we're working on that Raptor that's going to go on an expedition from Tijuana to Los Cabos back and forth.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that one yet. That's pretty cool. What about this? You got a lot of these, the racers.
Yeah, this is another UTV that we did the whole roll cage and suspension setup.
You want to have a look in close at some of these things that you did on here?
Yeah, we fabbed the roll cage. We installed the new suspension. We tuned them. So we did the whole roll cage, or the race seat belts, and we're just waiting on the client to bring their new tires here so we can go and test this guy at the desert.
All right.
And we're working on this Yamaha that we're going to develop a new front suspension for it. As you can see on the passenger side, they tore that section out on a fun run last week. So now we got to do some race parts.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
And here's the area for our VWs, or Class 11s that we prep here. We actually built the Class 11, the world champion in score, and we make championship race cars here. So we're known for VWs, but we work on everything. As you can see here, we have a Baja Bug with bigger suspension. It's going to be a highway cruiser. It's a beefed up highway cruiser, and a Ford Raptor.
Same Ford Raptor. And here we're moving into more of like your different class vehicles.
Yeah, these are different class buggies. This first one is a Class 12. That one in the middle is a 4-seater. That's a pre-runner. And at the end, we have a Class 10, which is a total beast in the desert.
So, yeah, you can kind of tell, like, this is what Hector does. He builds all sorts of race cars. So a vehicle like mine actually stands out a little bit in this shop because it's so different to what he does. But the cool thing about it is it doesn't have to perform anywhere near as a higher performance vehicle as one of these race cars. So when you think about the fabrication and stuff that's involved in that, it's actually quite simple. It's quite easy to do. So we're in good hands here. You can see, and that's basically the reason I wanted to take you around and show you what's going on here, just to let everyone know that we're in good hands here. So yeah, anyway, let's move on to the van and just go over a few details about what's going on there. So right now you can see that the tires are off. What's happening there, Hector?
Well, here, what we're going to do is we're going to give it more clearance. So what we're doing is we're going to offset. We're going to offset the springs. We were going to do a lift kit, but we want to maintain the same stability that Joel has. We just want to give it a little bit more clear from the ground. So we're going to offset the normal springs. We're going to give it a 3-inch lift, and then we're going to see how it works with the normal struts. Now this system, it's called a McPherson system, that you use the strut as a holder for the spindle. So what we want to do is we want to upgrade it, leave the strut because we need to leave it there because it holds the spindle in place, and then we're going to put a big ray shock right next to it to give it more stability and be able to withhold the travel, you know?
Yeah.
So it has, like, this thing has massive wishbones. It looks like a big trophy truck suspension. I mean, they're massive. It's a very, very robust setup. So that's why we decided not to move anything there because it's actually very good. We're just going to lift it. That's all we're going to do. And on the rear, too, it has like a very simple wishbone suspension. We're just going to add some space between the spring and the chassis. So we give it a little lift, and everything's going to have a normal ride. You're going to feel the ride as smooth as it was before.
I've actually not seen this yet. So I just got back from a trip down to Los Cabos, and I haven't actually seen the inside of my vehicle. So it's pretty cool getting this explained to me for the first time as well.
And it's hard for us because this is the first time we've ever seen a vehicle like this. So we have to disassemble, and then we have to think how we're going to do things because we don't have any manuals. We don't have an instruction. I mean, for us, it's not a production vehicle. So we got to see how it's made first and then figure out the best way to modify it.
Go from there. Kevin asks, no air ride. No, we're not going to put airbags in this thing. Like, they're kind of, you could. I mean, it's pretty simple, but we don't want to add too much complexity to the vehicle if it's not necessary, because I'm going to be in such remote areas. Just having things that are not necessary, first of all, is not a good idea. But yeah, just complicated is complicated. Let's keep it simple is a good motto to have.
And then one of the criteria we're doing on everything we're fabricating on the van is something that Joel can buy anywhere. Because we can do some high-end stuff in our CNC machines, do some aluminum parts, and get fancy. But if something happens, he's in a wreck or something breaks or whatever, then he can't fix it anywhere. He would have to go to another specialty shop. So we're doing anything you can fix, like in a farm or in a remote area, and like in a muffler shop or anywhere. That's what we're focusing on, that he can be on the road based on the experience he has. Like, he knows what trouble he can get to as far as the technical side, and it has to be simple and something that he could repair on himself,
Yeah, totally. Otherwise, I'll have to call Hector down to come and visit me and bring some parts with him when he's there. Anyway, let's move on to this next bit, the solar panels, the solar array. So we've got someone sweeping up there. But yeah, basically this is the solar panels so far. They don't look like much, so it's quite difficult to see. But do you want to explain to them what's going on, Hector?
This is actually the top part, so it's inverted. What we wanted to do is we wanted to find, these are just they're welded in place just so we can find the hinge points. And to make sure that everything we designed and drew on SolidWorks actually moves the same way as in the animation. So we defined that, like, the groove length, because we're making our own telescopic rails, because I mean there's nothing made for this purpose, so we're custom fabricating a lot of stuff, And again, we're fabricating it with very, very simple profiles that you can just find anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it. It's just a whole array inverted. We tested the geometry, the movement, and it works just like SolidWorks. Doesn't look as nice yet, but it works identical.
It's getting there. It's gonna be close. So yeah, I mean, that's about it really. I don't want to talk too much more. We don't want to take up too much time, but yeah, we didn't really have much more to speak about. So maybe we'll leave it there. And
that's a good, Andy. Yes, that's why we decided to work on SolidWorks, because we wanted to avoid any collision, any binding of the parts. because finding those pivot points physically, we would have been here weeks, you know, and we would be like guessing it. So what we could do in SolidWorks is we could do like virtual hinge points and then simulate the movement. And obviously, all the results we found in SolidWorks, we just came here and fabricated it once. We did not throw any material away, and we knew exactly where to cut, how to cut it, and it worked, just like in SolidWorks.
Yeah.
So, you know, we defined slots, we defined limitations, or moving constraints in SolidWorks, and it worked perfectly. We did not do any modifications to the final SolidWorks designs as what we did on the fabrication side. So it was great.
Yeah, super good to not mess your brain up in reality. Being able to use computer programs, it really helps. But yeah. I don't see many other questions coming through. So no, we can't see it open yet, Kevin. There's a video coming up where we did a few tests, but it's going to be very impressive when it does open, I can tell you. We've had a few like dragging tests, and it's a bit janky at the moment, which is fine. That's sort of what happens when you're in testing mode without having, you know, sliding rails and all of that sort of stuff. But it was pretty impressive even like that. So I can't wait to see it actually fully functioning. And it's going to be in the next couple of days.
When we did the physical moving, like with our hands, we weren't pulling like parallel, you know, it wasn't a precise movement. Right now, we're going to move everything with the telescopic rail and with Acme actuators. So the linear movement is going to be precise, and it's going to be identical on both sides. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be really cool. Yeah. Removing our crammy hands for mechanical movement.
Or shaky hands.
Shaky hands. So yeah, you can see this thing moving. That's because it's not mechanical, it's human. So anyway, thanks for answering everyone's questions, Hector. Let's keep the questions coming through because I store them in a database, and whenever I do these chats, I try to answer everyone's questions as best as I can. So thanks for coming and watching, everybody. We really appreciate you being here. And follow anti-bolt forgetting hands. Yeah,
there you go.
Thanks for rubbing that one in, Andy. No, this one's going to be anti-bolt forgetting hands proof.
Yeah.
Won't be leaving any of those decisions up to me and my brain.
For sure. There's going to be some bronze bushing, some grease points.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome. So yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys and girls. I will speak to you soon next time. Hasta luego para los español speakers.
And thank you for looking at the shop. You guys are welcome. At any time you want to see the shop again, more than happy to give you guys a tour, and we'll keep you updated.
And if you're in Baja and in Ensenada particularly, definitely let me know and I'll put you in touch with Hector. If you have any projects that you are thinking of building or doing, this is a great place to have a project built, if it's car related especially. So let us know and we can hook you guys up. But yeah, thanks for coming, Hector. Sure. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon. Happy New Year and happy holidays. Get back to work, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.